Yes.
They provide a very cheap form of protein for families that don't necessarily have a lot of money.
Yeah, and the problem is that exactly the people that you're talking about who don't have much money to spend on food, they're exactly the people who are now suffering from obesity, diabetes, heart disease and stroke.
But there's more bad news. Even the type of fat is wrong.
There are two families of essential fatty acids, both of which you need in a proper balance, the omega-6 and the omega-3. And because of the intensive rearing of animals, what has happened is that the balance between these two families has got completely out of sync. The omega-3 fatty acids that's important for the brain was, in the 1970s, knocking at the levels of about 170 milligrams per 100 grams of food. There's only 20 in these. So it's been sliced sevenfold. But the interesting thing is that people at the National Institutes of Health in the United States, Joe Hibble in particular, is now blaming the rise in mental ill health amongst young people on precisely this shift in the ratio of the balance between these fatty acids.
So cheap chicken is fatter than it used to be, but the British Retail Consortium insist that
chicken meat remains a nutritious part of the British diet and complies with all UK and European regulations.
at least roast chicken isn't in a box, yet more and more of what we're being sold these days is just that. Over the last decade or so, it's the aisle that's grown like a broiler bird. Welcome to the world of the supermarket ready meal.
That, to me, that's a crime against humanity.
You can't help noticing that the supermarket shelves are increasingly full of pre-cooked this, partially roasted that, generally complete meals that you can just pop into your oven or microwave, and hey presto. Yes, the ready meal is taking over the aisles.
Mission Control at one of the most successful ready meal companies in the world. You'll find their curries in supermarkets up and down the high street. And this is Sir Ghulam Noon. Churning out ready meals has lifted him into the Sunday Times rich list. He's made 50 million from them. But according to him, the person who really benefits is the harassed housewife.
It has actually broken the shackles of the housewife from the kitchen. The housewife can go to work, and now today, and most important thing is that it is a safe product to eat.
This is food as industrial process. High quality ingredients, additive free, and all the latest machinery.
Any factories which produces the ready meals in this country, the factories are brilliant. In terms of the microbiologies are checked, and the super services, super machinery, etc. And they are absolutely not only delicious, but they are safe to eat. Because it is, the ready meals are actually made in the environment, which is a unique environment nowadays. It's completely aseptic factories are there.
Noons were one of the first out of the blocks, but pretty soon all the supermarkets were onto the ready meals bandwagon themselves. But more doesn't necessarily mean better.
When you look at the label on the back of a ready meal, the vast majority of them are made with what's cheapest for manufacturers to use.
And the quality is often really poor. You're paying for extra additives, you're paying for added water, huge amounts of sugar and salt.
Lamb casserole will have kind of 10 different types of sugar on the back. Well, what's that doing though? It's because they're not real ingredients giving real flavour.
But that is added value food, and that's very profitable for them.
I'd really rather not eat them.
It's a market that's grown by more than 60% in the last 10 years or so, almost as much as the claims for their products. Take this Sainsbury's Taste the Difference Moroccan chicken with apricots and pine nuts.
Pairing sweet fruit with spices in the time-honoured Moroccan style gives this dish the exotic, warming flavours of a tagine.
I think supermarkets in Britain have really grown by exploiting the gap, that knowledge gap between the food producer and the consumer. And that's where they've made their money. And they've succeeded because we know so little about food, we don't know any better. So if someone says to us something that is blatantly ridiculous, like, here is a ready meal that was cooked in a factory and trucked all around Britain, and it tastes much better than anything that you could cook at home, we actually believe that. Now, most Europeans would say, come off it, you've got to be joking. It won't, it can't.
We asked Raymond Blanc to try a typical supermarket ready meal, bœuf bourguignon from Asda.
Voilà. Okay, that bœuf bourguignon has got a very, very strong colour. Let's have a smell of it. Yeah, you go for it. Oh my God.
Very intense.
That to me, that's a crime against humanity. It's a crime against food. When I came in the 70s in England, yes, that's what I would eat, but now you don't expect. Oh, it's horrendous. It's absolutely, it's jammy, it's messy, it's chemical. You can feel the chemicals right the way through, no? It's, wow.
Just take one each. So Raymond would clearly have no problem spotting a ready meal, but would our average shoppers be able to?
It's done food, only.
After a little persuasion, he agreed to knock up a bœuf bourguignon of his own to see if they could tell the difference.
Now I'm going to mix those two together. Wow, look at that. Then the one, wow. Oh.
Well, Raymond's obviously very keen on healthy ingredients, and so are the supermarkets, because their product planners have discovered that health sells. Combine convenience and health in the same packet, and you've got a supermarket Shangri-La. And now they're all over the place. Healthy living, be good to yourself, eat smart, good for you. Each of the big four has its healthy ready meal range. But just how good for you are they? We asked Staffordshire Trading Standards to check out some of the claims.
In most cases, the healthier option type styled product did contain less fat than the standard product, and that's a good thing, and that's what we'd expect. But in some cases, it would contain the same amount of fat as the standard product, and in one or two cases, it actually contained more.
Take these chicken dippers from Sainsbury's Blue Parrot range for children. They actually have more fat per 100 grams than the equivalent adult product. And this good-for-you lasagna from Asda has less fat than Asda's ordinary lasagna. But that's because it's got less meat. It's just 14% meat instead of 23%. That's one way of cutting down your fat intake, I suppose. These healthy meals seem to have plenty of helpful nutritional information on the packets, but you need to know what it all means. Take salt, for example.
It's not universally true that if you buy a healthy option meal, you necessarily get a reduced salt meal. We have here a healthy living jambalaya, which claims to be 3% fat, 477 calories, which on analysis found to be true. If you look at the back of the label for the full information, it points out that a serving of this product would give me the 477 calories, but would also give me 3.8 grams of salt. So if I, as a woman with a need of 2,000 calories a day and targeted not to eat more than 6 grams of salt a day, at this, I would get a quarter of my daily amount of calories, but 3/4 of the recommended amount of salt that I could eat in a day.